Once you've logged into the platform, you'll see automatically your character will be highlighted if it's on the actual screen. If the screen is black, it may be because you do not have a character available. First controls that you'll want to understand is at this upper right or left-hand corner, you'll notice that there's an anvil. Underneath it is your token controls. This kind of has a GIF that animates and shows you what you can do to select characters, how you go about targeting, how you actually go about measuring or doing movement with the character. So these things kind of give you shortcuts so that you understand how that works. At the top, you'll notice that there are different actual areas available. These are actual maps that you can load into the screen that are available to the character either because of your frequency of the area or because it is an actual thing that you possess and you can look at. Otherwise, when you come to your character, you'll notice that you can double click on it. By double clicking on it, it brings up the actual window the character's in. This is called the actor. The actor has a summary page, and on his summary page, you'll see all your standard stuff you'd see on a character sheet: name, gender alignment, your defenses, your AC, your touch, all that kind of stuff. This is all auto-calculated by your race or actually and by class if those have any effect to it, like a monk uses wisdom for their armor class, those types of things. These are all part of the actual character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it's like just to add these to a character. So what you do is, if you notice on these sheets, there'll be folders that have a little plus on them. The folders actually, when they're clicked on, open up the compendium for classes or for races. And these are a simple drag and drop technology, which is really nice. So let's say you want to just do a classic fighter. You can search for the fighter, find what version of it you want. You could just be like a pit fighter or all the different archetypes. You simply drag that and drop that directly into the character. When that's done during character creation, it'll ask if how you're going to do your favorite bonuses. So it kind of walks you through all of this. We'll say that you're just going to take a skill point, and then once that's done, you go ahead and submit it. When it's submitted, it closes out. It tells you what it did on a level up report over here in chat, and then when you come into the character itself, you'll notice that you now have that fighter class there. You can see that all the details about the fighter are just underneath this little pop-out window if you need to look at it. And it's also added under the tabs, like under your features and things of that ilk. You'll see that it added in your bonus feats, anything else that a fighter would be getting as a standard. As you go up level, it'll automatically propagate with the other feats that you would automatically get, or call out the fact that you should take a feat or you're deficit in it. The second tab is your actual abilities. They give you the ability to show what is a statistic. Now, when I say what is a statistic, that means if it's modified by magic, if it's modified by class, if it's modified by race, all those things are shown in a little black window pop-up when you kind of hover over them. It also gives you all the details around your abilities like resistances and immunities, including the size of your token. So if you say did something that made you grow taller or changed you from a medium to large, you could simply click on this and it would actually make the actor grow so that it's easier for you to be proportionate to the map that you're on. In combat, this is where you'll have things like different attack styles or abilities. It gives you an area to keep this information at. It's normally generated by any of the inventory you would have. Like a good example is if you click on this plus window here to give yourself a weapon, we'll say that we'll just choose a sword of some type. And choosing a sword like we'll go for a bastard sword. We'll drop that into the character. Now you have a bastard sword. When you've done this, you can actually go into the item with that little pop-up window. It tells you everything about the sword. It also tells you everything about how you would use the weapon, if it's resizing and any of its abilities. And you can also turn around and choose if you want it to go ahead and show in a quick bar. So that actually links back to that first summary page, and now you can see that you have a weapon. If you clicked on it, it gives you the ability to do rolls immediately. You can do a full attack or a single. You can make it private to me. And it also asks if you have things going like haste or if you're using power attack, and if there's any conditional bonuses to the roll you should be adding in, making this all very intuitive. So as you have spells increase your strength or as you have magical weapons, all of this stuff is automatically factored in. At any time, if you needed to see the screen because of things going on, you can always double click this gray bar at the top and it minimizes the character. and you'll see that it's just sitting here as a little floater that you can open back up at any time. Now that's your token. What you see at the top is actually the combat carousel, and it shows who's in order. Directly in the center in this purple line is whose current turn it is. They're highlighted normally in a light blue ring. You'll notice that there is a light golden ring. It shows who's the next person coming up. And for the map controls, if you use your right mouse button, you can actually move the map around by holding it down. If you use your left mouse button and hold it down, it pings to show where things are at. And if you need to zoom in and out, you can just use your mouse wheel to zoom out and see the area. Within your sight range, you'll see that's what this little ring is here. The rest of it, anything beyond it, you may have seen the area, but you don't know what's currently there or what's moving in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over towards this top right-hand bar. I'm up in the upper right-hand corner. Here's the chat window. You see everything that's going on in combat with the roles and things that people are texting and chatting about will appear here. You notice that your level up report is here. You can see all of the extra things that you got with it as well. And those feats. You'll also see any combat roles, like let's say a good example would be right here. The bard actually did a shadow bard that used her inspire courage. You'll see all the characters that are possibly affected by it, and if they would get a resistance, they could roll, or you could roll if you're resisting it, a will save immediately from here so you're not affected by it. The second area is another version of the combat. Some games we don't use this top bar with for combat. The built-in combat system is here underneath the double swords. From here, you can also turn around, and if you're in combat, you can use it to double click and bring up a character sheet. Your character sheets are also controlled under the actor. This is where you would find like your character that you're looking at right here. It's another way to get at it. And any other summoned creatures or linked animals, like let's say you have an Eldion, let's say that you have a war dog, or you have a horse, or maybe you have some other controlled beast that you're going to be controlling for a while, you would have a character sheet for it right here that would be linked to yours as well. The next one is where items and gear are kept at, like monster gear, things that they've collected from the different monsters they've killed and that they keep kind of as a party group treasure. Also, you'll see that there's specific things like this Gauntlets of the Weapon Master. When they click on it, you can actually see that it's holding these items that have not been dispensed out. So inside the game, items actually can be a container that hold other items, and those items can be divvied out as well and dragged directly onto the character, just like you did with skills, just like you saw with the other non-magical items into the inventory. Okay, and same is true of things like races. Also, any custom created items like these blue salts that are used for resurrection, you'll find them here. It gives kind of what their details are and what their uses are. Going down the line, there's also a journals area. This is where you'll have a journal you can keep for your own character if you want to keep notes. It's also where the players keep their at. A good example is one of the players, the leader of the party, has been keeping a names, kind of like book of names. He's gone through the different ones that they've met, the characters, the gods, any of their past lives that they've discovered that are attached to their characters and their destiny. So they've been keeping kind of a running charter and journal of what's going on with it. Also, you'll see there's things where I'll have roll tables. This is where I factored in any variable that should be rolled, like wild magic. You're aware of those kind of effects, most of you are. That if you roll this table, it will tell you the random effect that can be dragged and dropped on top of your character as well. So should you make yourself small, or should you enlarge yourself, or change your gender, it is actually something that will roll, post to chat, and you can drag it from chat directly onto your character as well. I do not use cards currently, but this is where if I use like the critical hit and critical fumble decks, I might add those in at some point in time. Some of my levels do have built-in sound. This is optional if you use this at all. I do that just for mood settings. Also for some things like the party did have an occasion where they were collecting musical notes for the bard to actually accumulate into a song that could do a magical effect. I would actually have specific pieces of sound that would play in the background, and the bard would actually gain the ability to rebuild these. Last is a compendium of everything. It's monsters, everything else like this. I don't deny this information from characters. I just ask that they're paying attention during the game. But if they wanted to look up a monster, they could open these compendiums up and see the basic creature just by double clicking and bringing it up. So unfortunately, or fortunately for me, as a player, you're not allowed to import them or bring them or drag them directly into the game. Only I can do that. So If you need to summon a creature, you'll have to ask me, and I'll go in and bring that creature out and put it under your control. Otherwise, that's basically about it. When you're into compendiums, if you did want to do research, you'll notice at the bottom that there's shortcuts to classes, the bestiary, and all of the spells. I also did want to point out in chat, if you need to do any individual rolls, there are dice down at the bottom that you can choose to roll. You can also add in any other kind of point modifier that should be added to it as well, and then you can just do roll. And it'll roll a set of virtual dice across the table for you as long as the game is not paused. Thank you.